Yo, what's happening, people? Back again for another stream. So remember, don't forget to smash the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In. So as you can see in the thumbnail, Anthony Martial, back available again. For me, one of my favorite players over the last 10 years at Man United. I feel he's been um, criminally slated throughout the years. Obviously there's been injuries with Martial, but for me, there's no denying his quality, and it's great to see that he's back available again. Now, I mean, personally, if I'm Ineos, I try and look at a way of, give him a new contract. Obviously, it seems a bit highly unlikely, but I think due to the market out there, I think giving Martial a contract would be the obvious thing to do for me, you know. And even if you're going to go into the market for another striker, I think keeping someone like Martial with obviously with his experience now, hopefully his injuries and that are done, and just with his general quality, I think it would be a clever move by Ineos to kind of get into talks with him. I think if Ineos showed the intent, to sit down with Martial and say, look, whether it be to reduce his wage slightly, because obviously the injury issues, but if they could kind of come to the table and say to Martial, that we believe in you, and hopefully injury free, with a better medical department there, we can kind of see Martial get back on track, and still produce some of the magic moments that he has produced since he's been wearing a United shirt. How much game time will he get to the end of the season, which is an interesting one. Now, obviously, we know this manager obviously does favour Rasmus Højlund. For me, I think obviously you won't see him start against Crystal Palace. I think you might see him come off the bench against Palace for the last 10, 15 minutes. But for me, I think he's still building up to the FA Cup final against Man City. And I believe if Man United want to have a slight chance of winning the game, Martial needs to be the vocal point up top for me against Man City. His ability to hold the ball up, his ability to link the play is going to be crucial up against Man City's defence. Even though I do think Man City will win the game, I think giving Martial the start, I think will go a long way to showing the fans, that that Man United do plan to be serious in this game. Because I believe if you play Højlund again through the middle, it's going to be the same result. He ain't good enough. So and he's not going to be able to hold the ball up and bring other players into the game. So I think Martial will be crucial. Whether he's fit enough to last a full game remains to be seen. But I think that, just giving him that starting spot for that FA Cup final, will be good. And as I say to you, that I think Man United, if they're to do anything in that game, he's going to need to play, in my opinion. Also, as you can see in the thumbnail, this is a guy that was a 2015 Golden Boy winner. So if anyone knows about the Golden Boy, that's awarded to the best under 21 player in world football. The list is endless of winners that have gone on to be top players. But that was Martial's path. I mean, injuries, mismanagement have killed his career. Started from when the best manager he's had has been Louis van Gaal, obviously, who brought him in, gave him the number 9 shirt. Obviously when he first came in, he struck up a great relationship with Wayne Rooney as well, who is a big admirer of Martial. And then I think what changed it was when Van Gaal got sacked, and then Jose Mourinho came in. And Mourinho, as we all know, is not a developer of young talent. In fact, he's a killer of young talent. So he came in and obviously brought Zlatan Ibrahimovic in. and then took the number 9 off Martial's back, and then Martial took on the 11, which was vacated by, I think it was Adnan Januzaj, and then that was the start of the disrespect that Martial received. And then obviously Ibra for me is a top player, but Ibra was obviously going to be the vocal point in terms of the striking position, and that meant that Mourinho was trying to pit Martial against Rashford. Obviously, you all know my thoughts on Marcus Rashford not being better than Martial anyway, but obviously with a fan base where Rashford is obviously, as I say, Manc born and bred, him up against Martial, who's French, it was always going to be an uphill task, and but that never needed to happen. You know, it should have been a case where both of them should have been nurtured the right way. And I believe if Van Gaal was still there, you're talking about a player, right, especially Martial, with the ability that he had. As I say, he had a Ballon d'Or clause in his contract as well. I believe if Van Gaal stays there, you're talking about easily one of the best players in the world, because that was the path that he was meant to have taken, you know. And as I say, mismanagement from Mourinho is what started it off. Because some people will say, you know, that it's only a shirt number, but it's not. It's disrespect, because he was the highest paid teenager in the world at the time. I think he was bought for 58 million. And then obviously in his debut season, I think he hits 15 or 17 goals in all comps for a 19-year-old, which it's unheard of, really, especially doing it in what they deem as the toughest league in the world. And as I said, the disrespect that he was receiving in terms of the shirt change and the battling constantly with Rashford for a starting spot is what culminated in the mismanagement, you know. And then there was times where Martial saved Mourinho's job. I think he scored in about, I think it might have been 4 or 5 games straight. And then Mourinho done the unthinkable and went and got Alexis Sanchez, made Sanchez the highest paid player at the club, and then pushed Martial down the pecking order, you know. And then obviously we all know what happened to Sanchez then. And then I think when Mourinho got sold, Solskjaer came in as the caretaker and restored Martial back to his before that, shall I say, when Ibra went, Lukaku then came in and took on Ibra's number 9, well, Martial's number 9 before, but he took the number 9 from when Ibra had it. And then again, Martial was still playing off the left. Lukaku was the main striker, and then Lukaku then gets eventually moved on. And then I think the best thing Solskjaer done was when he came in, he gave Martial the respects back and gave him back his number 9 shirt, you know. And then Martial repaid that in when Oli was caretaker, in the performances and the goals, and then it was a front three of Martial through the middle, Rashford on the left, Mason Greenwood on the right, and that combination there was devastating, to be fair, because you had Martial, who was the unselfish link man, and then you had Greenwood and Rashford, who are shoot first players, but that combination actually worked quite well because there was a good kind of chemistry between all three of them, in which resulted in I think they actually outscored the front three of Mane, Salah, and Firmino in one of the seasons, which showed you that the quality that these three had all playing together, you know, and the age that they were at as well. And then obviously, yeah, Martial did pick up a few injuries, and then you see the likes of Cavani come in, and then Cristiano Ronaldo came back, which pushed Martial further down the pecking order again. Obviously, he's picking up a few knocks as well. Went on to Sevilla. The Sevilla stint. To be fair, I watched all the Sevilla's games where Martial did play, and I think if people are just looking for numbers, you're going to ignore his performances. But his actual performances were very good. You know, in terms of his link play, holding the ball up. The way Sevilla used to play, to be fair, was a bit was a bit slow in build up, you know. But Martial, in terms of what he had to do, yeah, the chances were few and far between. I think he scored a couple of goals, but his actual performances were very good, you know. But then yeah, so obviously he went on loan to Sevilla, and then when he came back, um, I think he picked up. I think there was still a bit more niggling issues there with the injury, but then Ten Hag obviously made Martial as his main number 9 once he moved Ronaldo on. And then obviously, as I said to you, Martial was playing well, and then the following season, this season now, Rasmus Højlund was signed, and then Martial was fit for the whole of the season, for the start of the season, and then Ten Hag decided to not use him, and then Martial, well, that culminated in Martial going to get an operation to rectify a long-standing problem it looks like he had. But now he's back available again. And as I say, I don't want to say it's going to be like a swan song for Martial, because I do believe he still has a lot to offer, and I'm hoping that he can kind of offer that to Man United under a new regime. What do I think his plans will be for next season? Well, he's going to be on a free, so I believe there's going to be a few top clubs coming in for him, because a player of his quality, I mean, there's no doubt in Martial. It's just the injury issues that will be the doubt. But obviously, it's up to him to prove that he's over them issues. And I think a lot of people are going to be shocked at the kind of teams that will be open to taking him, especially on a free. Obviously, it'll be down to Martial what he wants to do. I think if he wants to stay in the Premiership, there won't be any shortage of takers. And I think even if you're looking at, obviously he's never going to go to a Liverpool because it's a rival there, but he'll be perfect at a Liverpool team where they're very, well, obviously Klopp's leaving now, so the new manager might want to go in a different way, but it's unlikely he'll go to, well, it's not unlikely, it's very, well, yeah, he won't go to Liverpool or Man City. He'd be a perfect player for Arsenal. I don't see Arsenal going in for him though. Tottenham, he'd be perfect for, you know, in terms of his hold up play, what he can do, you know. Martial's not really going to run the channels as much as he used to when he first came in, but his quality in possession is undeniable, you know. So, and obviously, if he's over his injuries, then you're going to see a player that's going to remind people of how good he is, you know. But in the Premiership, it's going to be quite tough what teams he can go to. Abroad, PSG, possibly. He might want to go back home. But Barcelona would be perfect for him, to be honest with you. The way Barcelona play, he can be that foil for the wide players. Obviously, Lewandowski is getting on, and they don't really have no recognized striker. I know they brought in Vitor Roque, but Vitor Roque is still relatively inexperienced. So if they was to get a Martial with the eventual departure of Robert Lewandowski, that would be a great move for Barcelona. So yeah, I think there'll be takers in Spain. I mean, not in Spain. Sorry, in Germany. Got Dortmund, obviously Bayern. We've got Harry Kane there. So Bayer Leverkusen would be a great shout. You know, I know they got Victor Boniface and Patrick Schick, but Martial is an upgrade on both players. So yeah, it'll be interesting really to see what his next plans are. I'm just hoping that, you know, as I said to you before, Ineos can kind of come to some kind of deal, and Martial wants to stay, and then they can, even if it's a case where they give him like a 1-year deal to prove his fitness and to prove that you know, to prove his quality really, because I do believe that Martial is still a top player. You know, on his day, I don't see a better striker in the league than Martial. If I'm totally honest, you know, if you go around the leagues, I think he has everything to be a top striker, and I don't believe there's too many players, too many strikers in world football really with that skill set, in my opinion. So I'm hoping something can be done there, but if not, then yeah, obviously I'll be following Martial, hoping that he does well wherever he goes. Because I still think he's a top player that's been criminally undervalued at the club, mismanaged by, obviously it was Mourinho that started it off, and then Ten Hag as well. I think with Solskjaer, obviously Solskjaer did restore Martial as the main striker, but then I think when Solskjaer got, like, I think Solskjaer was like a little kid in the sweet shop, really, because when he got Ronaldo and Cavani in, because of their standing in the game, I think he kind of just got excited and wanted to try and use them ahead of Martial, because Martial was the one that was not as much as a big name as what the other two are, you know. But yeah, I mean, hopefully Martial can, as I say, he can agree a deal. But if not, then obviously wish him all the best going to his new club. Because I have no doubt, you know, if he stays injury free and he's at the right team that wants to play in a manner of possession based football, you know, and he's got the confidence of the manager, of the fan base, which he's never really had totally at this club, then I believe, you know, people are going to be thinking, bloody hell, what a player this guy is, or what a player he could have been at the club still. You know, he's still 28, which is still young for a striker. And as I say, if you look at the pool of strikers at the moment, there's no one really that's really standing out apart from the obvious ones. I think if you look in the Premiership, the strikers that stand out, apart from, I won't mention Erling Haaland, because for me, Erling Haaland's not a great player, but obviously he's at Man City, and as I say, it's a numbers game with Haaland. But if you look at the actual strikers in the league, you're probably talking about Ivan Toney, Alexander Isak at Newcastle was a very good player. Ollie Watkins. And then you're probably struggling. Then you're probably going to Matthias Cunha. Liverpool, I don't really. I mean, Diogo Jota's injury prone, and he's obviously a wide man come forward. Darwin Núñez is terrible. Nicholas Jackson, but I don't think none of these players are nothing. None of these players ain't better than Martial. You know, I think if you're talking about Isak and Ivan Toney, you're putting them on par with Martial in terms of what they offer to their teams. And yeah, that's it really in Premiership. And then obviously you still got the likes of Lewandowski, Harry Kane, doing it at obviously at Bayern Munich and Barcelona. And then the pool of strikers, top strikers, ain't really there. You know, there's obviously talk about Victor Osimhen, who I don't really rate. I don't really think he's that good. And that's what I'm trying to say to you. So the pool of strikers is poor at the moment. So this is why, for me, it's a necessity to keep someone like Martial. But we'll wait and see. Hope you guys like my video. Don't forget to smash the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the Crystal Palace versus Manchester United game, which is going to be on Monday. But I'm going to do a little breakdown of the teams, of how the teams will line up. And also, is it an audition for Michael Olise and Eberechi Eze, two players that I've mentioned before that Man United have to sign, and I believe these two players will bring a quality to United that's been lacking for some time, especially in them attacking areas. So I'll be going over that tomorrow. Take it easy.